You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you but doesn't judge you, and just appreciates all the support you give us and everything that we do there. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today, an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his book called The Cloud People, out November 28th, 2022. Ken Tuzeneu joins us on the show. Did I get that right, Ken, your last name?
Close enough. I have trouble myself sometimes. Tuzeneu.
We are joined by Ken Tuzeneu, and we're going to get into it with him, find out all the details on his new book and everything that goes inside of it as well. And as we get into it with him, we're going to be talking with him about the book, what's inside, and all that good stuff. So welcome to the show, Ken. How are you?
Thank you. Doing great. Doing very, very well. We got a beautiful summer day, so can't complain.
There you go. And so you basically have written this book, and tell us about the book. Give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside.
Okay. Yeah, to be honest, I never planned on writing a book. As a priest, I write for the parish and different other ways of communicating. And around Christmas, I usually write like a little short story. But this started when I went to visit my brother. And I happened to look outside the plane because I like to look at clouds, as a lot of people do. And I thought to myself, suppose I saw an actual cloud person. And that just started. And from there, the story emerged. And it started as a short story and just kept going and going and going. And ended up to actually be a book.
Oh, wow. So this is your first, is it a novel per se?
It's a novel. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There you go. So now I forgot to ask you, any .coms, any websites you want people to learn more about you on?
Well, the Cloud People, KenTuzeneu.com. Cloud People, KenTuzeneu.com.
There you go.
A little bit about the book. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So what was some of the things that motivated you want to write the book? Was there something about the story that gripped you? Was there some sort of thing that moved you? Anything like that? Any sort of clarity moment?
Well, I would say the one thing that I've always am passionate about, and I think we need more of, is imagination. I don't think we use it's a great gift that we all have. I don't use it enough in a positive way. So many of the things that I see, I think, are dark, negative, and of course there's a place for that. But I think we have a great gift of imagination. It's used it in a positive way. And so that was one of the main motivators, I think, for the for the story. And the story just kind of like tells of a young boy who has an experience. And at first, you might think, what was his imagination? Even questions that himself. But then that'll be kind of like the theme of the book. Was it real or not? And I love the way the story ends, because it kind of like leaves you, well, it looks like maybe it was real. It wasn't just his imagination. So I want to invite people to use their imagination, but also invite them into a world, particularly people of all ages, but kids. I think it's a way to invite them into a world that they can have a little fun and imagine what it would be like to experience that.
There you go.
So that's kind of like my primary motivation.
And I believe your protagonist is a little boy named Billy. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. He's probably about 11 or 12. A typical boy, kind of like at that age, and kind of like do okay in school. But this time he's going on vacation. He has his grandparents that live in Indiana, and he goes there every year. But normally he joins the family, but this time he's going by himself. So that's kind of like an adventure for him. And as it turns out, that's when he was just about to land. He sees this image, and of course, no one else saw it. So he's got this secret locked inside of him. But then, as it turns out, When he goes to meet his grandparents are there. His quirky Uncle Frank, I kind of like him as a character in the story. And then he has a dear friend, Megan, kind of like grew up with in long distance, but one of his best friends. So they're all there. And so that launches it. And it turns out you're kind of like sheepish about this. And it turns out that he's not the only one that saw these things, these cloud people. So it turns out his grandfather has seen him, his uncle's seen him, so that kind of like starts a new adventure for him.
And hence the name, the Cloud People.
The Cloud People, yes, yeah.
There you go.
And they're sort of like guardians over us because both of the grandfather, he's a Korean vet. His Uncle Frank is a Vietnam vet, and they both had experiences of the Cloud People in combat. And it turns out that they kind of like came to their rescue, and so that kind of like adds to the
now, are we taxing these Cloud People? Because it sounds like we need to make some more money on taxes. Are we taxing these folks? No, I'm just kidding.
No, they're not. In fact, they want to keep themselves secret.
Anonymous?
In fact, that's another part of it.
Yeah.
They don't want anybody to know about them. Maybe
see, they're avoiding taxes. Is this part of the plot of the book? I think that's what's going on.
All the things that we have to experience. Yes,
that's in book.
I want to be beyond that.
I'm just kidding.
Better off. Yeah.
So, this is your first book. Have you always been writing? I think you mentioned you write for your parish, the church. Did you ever have an inclination to write novels and stuff before this?
No. I do like a little reflection each week in the bulletin, and I tried it to not be about just stuff around the parish, but like stuff's going on in the world, the news, just like for a little reflection, things for people to think about. And sometimes I would share a story with them. But then at Christmas, years ago, I said, well, I can't really afford to give everybody a gift, so let me write a little short story. So that was always a part of what I was doing, but I never planned on writing a book. So that's kind of how it started. Like I said, it just began with an idea that just kept growing and growing and growing. And actually, as I did, it's kind of, and I'm actually in the process of writing a sequel. So, yeah. So
that's usually the other book that asks.
Yeah.
So you see this maybe as a series, or maybe just a sequel for now, or maybe a series where there's an ongoing.
I kind of like have the next, the sequel, and then I have another segment after that. So yeah, in a way, it kind of like could be a series. I guess I'm inspired by the Lord of the Rings, a trilogy. So I guess I got to make it a trilogy somehow.
At least a trilogy. We have a lot of novelists on the show, and I mean, we have some people. They're like 40, 60 books deep in a series, and their audience loves the characters. They love following the characters. They love seeing how they develop an adventure, and if they don't keep writing the series, they actually get hate mail.
Okay.
It's like
I got captivated with the people. I wanted to know what happened next.
Yeah. It's like they'll do like 2 or 3 series. They'll have like 2 or 3 threads going of characters. And maybe one year they put out 2 books on this series, and then another year they put on another series, and they just kind of do them as the books come to them, and the characters speak to them. But it's funny, they'll get like people will be like, "When are you going to write about Bob again?" And Bob series, and you're like,
I can't take that pressure. No.
Yeah. So, but it's great. It's a blessing to have that kind of audience.
Absolutely. No, it's a lot of fun with it. Yes.
Sometimes I have authors say, like a J.A. Jance, she's going to be on the show again. I think she's almost 90 or in her 90s.
Wow.
But she's written she has I think 2 or 3 threads, and she's written just prolifically, probably 100 books by now, maybe 80.
Oh my goodness.
And one time she had she'd written about this guy about 20 books as the protagonist in her books. And one day when someone walked up to her at a book signing and said, "Do you know that one guy you always write about, he's an alcoholic?" And she hadn't even occurred to her that. And, so it's like, wow, the reader knows more about my characters and books than I do. So it's pretty funny.
Oh boy.
But it would be great if you came up with something like this. How did you know that this was going to be a thing for you? Was there a light that turned on, or how did you know this was going to be a thing?
Well, part of my problem is, and that's why I'm still working on the sequel, is I have a full-time job, so that's my primary, so I have to take care of my flock and do my priestly duties. But so I started it, and then I was having trouble finding the time, and then unfortunately COVID hit, and everything kind of like shut down. And I said, you know what, I'm going to use this time to get on the computer every day. And unfortunately, that horrible thing gave me the time, so that's how I finished it. So I
there were
use
so
that
many.
in a positive way. Let me use it in a good way.
It was it and thing. In spite of all the horror there of COVID, there was a lot of books that got written. It's really fun.
Well, I'm one of them. So.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. I mean, a lot of people found their creative outlet, and a lot of people use that time for good and the way to tell stories, whether they're entertaining or whether they're novels or documentaries that people jump through the history. It's kind of a great thing. I mean, it was great for the show. We had so many authors on and have so many authors on. It was great for the show. I'm almost kind of like, can we bring that pandemic back? The other thing, I'm just kidding, folks. We don't want to do that.
I know.
But the other thing is more people listened to the show back then because everyone was stuck at home.
There you go.
So I was kind of half a fan of it. I was kind of like, well, this sucks, but hey, everyone's listening to the podcast now.
Well, you got to do what you got to do, right?
You got to do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as people go through the thing, is there anything interesting? We can't obviously tell how the book ends or maybe what happens in the middle, but are there some other characters involved? I see there's a Megan that's involved in the book.
Yeah, it's a dear friend, and then it's kind of cool the way they're at that young middle age, so the relationship is sort of growing, and of course because of their relationship, she's the first one that he wanted to tell, and at first she thinks he's just pulling her leg, but then kind of like, particularly when the grandfather says that he experienced them, it's kind of like, wow. So then that other big sequence, he has a dream where I guess this is one of the things that I always dreamt about doing, is like actually flying. So he has a dream where he's flying with the clouds. So he becomes actually the first person to actually meet cloud people and communicate with them.
Really?
And of course, it's not verbal communication. It's like telepathic, and so he's flying in the clouds. He actually meets them. He communicates with them, and he finds out a little bit about the world. And of course, then Megan's jealous, is kind of like, whoa. And then in another scene, because she's going to join him, in the dream. And of course, it's like, well, how can you be together in a dream? So like they actually did experience. So actually, they're the only ones that technically communicate with the cloud people. Uncle Frank and Grandpa saw them, but they never actually talked with them. So they're kind of like this added dimension of them actually entering the world and being able to communicate with them. So that's kind of like cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I think I've hung out with the clown people too. I think it's on Fridays when I do edibles.
There you go.
Yeah, might have been in the clouds a couple times there, but so relaxing. Anyway, just jokes, people. Don't do drugs. Anyway,
you got a joke.
Yeah, there you go. So what do you think you might get into any other type of books? Maybe create some series, or you just take it one book at a time, see how it goes?
I get one book at a time because with the finding the time crunch, this will be enough to work on it. Like I said, I have the idea to finish the sequel, and then I have an idea for a third one. So I think that'll keep me busy, for a while. For a while, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now I know
but
you're
for now,
religious.
This was good, and kind of like
I know you're religious. Is there any sort of an analogy here? Maybe cloud people looking down on you, protecting you, maybe angels or God, or is that not a thing? Kennard?
Oh yeah, it's kind of like subtle in there because it's sort of like hint that like
subtle inference.
The stuff didn't just come about, but there's a hint of God, and I do look at them as kind of like angels, kind of like sent to protect us. And the other thing I sort of like, I don't talk about prayer, but kind of like the telepathic communication. That's kind of like prayer in a way, because you kind of like, like communicate with God without, like in a conversational way, because I'm big on that. That's, you don't just say like your formal prayers, but again, to kind of like the chat with God. So like there's a little bit of subtle seed, in that communication for like a way that you can talk with God. So yeah, there's like, I don't want to hit people over the head with it, but there's definitely some religious themes in there. Yeah.
There you go. Sometimes subtlety is the best analogy to get to people, and they'll get the messages. Yeah, I mean, clouds are so beautiful. I was out photographing this Sunday, and I took some pictures of some clouds. We're almost to September, and in Utah, the sunsets get really beautiful here. We get really good clouds. So I took a few pictures of some clouds, and yeah, maybe I don't know. That might explain why I'm getting a call from their lawyers going, "Hey man, you're going to out us if you publish that photo."
There you go. And I find myself sometimes when I'm driving, I got to make sure I don't look too much at the clouds. You got to pay attention to driving.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's there you go. So anything more we need to know about what you're doing, what you're up to? Was there anything that influenced you in writing the books, maybe from your childhood influence? It sounds like there's a little influence of religion there. Was there anything else that gave you inspiration?
Yes, kind of. There's some autobiography in there. I mean, my dad was a veteran.
So you've mixed a little bit of your life
for veterans. Yeah, for that. So in there is definitely a sense of honoring those who serve. So that's there. My grandparents had a farm. That's where a lot of it takes place. So childhood memories of being out in the farm there. So a lot of that kind of stuff. And even Billy, the main character, has a little bit of Billy, in me. Kind of like a good kid, but kind of like curious, vivacious. So a little bit of that in there too. So yeah, little hints of autobiography, in there. Yeah.
What's that old saying? You write what you know. So you write what you know, and so it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how we weave these our through life and build our stories and stuff, and you never think that anything that happens to you maybe would influence you for something that you eventually find that you love. What sort of how do you come up with your characters, and what sort of process do you use when you write? A lot of wannabe writers or wannabe again writers are out there in the audience, and is there a process you use? Like some writers will write an hour a day. What's the process you use to write and help keep yourself focused?
Well, it's interesting because with like the sequel and all, I have a little bit of idea where I wanted to go, but it just sort of evolved. So I would start writing, and then I would maybe have one scenario in mind and kind of like sit with it, and I say, "Oh, wait a minute, I think I would rather go in this direction." So the story sort of presented itself to me, and in some things about I had like the general idea, but it's sort of like interesting that the story sort of like evolved and emerged in my mind. And I would do a little bit at a time, and then like stop, and then kind of like, because sometimes you get like the classic roadblock, and I say like, I don't know where I want this to go next, and you kind of wait for, and also, something would, even like the ending, that kind of like, I didn't have that in mind, and it was just like something I said, I said, I really like that, so, so it's sort of like a little bit of luck, things that's.
When you edited, I mean, how did you know how to develop characters? Did you do any study on that? Any study on writing, or did you just sit down one day and write it out?
I didn't take any courses on it, I've always enjoyed writing, and people tell me, at least when I write for the parish, they like what I write. I'd always, when I preach, I like to use a lot of stories, because I figure otherwise sometimes you say religious themes and it's like blah blah blah, but when you tell a story, that grabs people. So that's always been a part of what I like to do. So I think you got to tell stories to communicate. Yeah. So I didn't really study it, just with the part of what I do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As we always say, stories are the fabric of our lives, and people. I mean, that's how we learn. The stories are the owner's manual to life. They guide us.
When you get together with family, friends, what you do, you tell stories. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, he tells stories about the fish that got away and
That's right.
all that stuff. But no, it's stories the fabric of our life. I mean, that's the Chris Voss Show is a story collector. It's a griot.
Mhm.
We collect stories from people and lessons and different things to learn, and that's how we.
Mhm.
They're the owner's manual of life, because I never got my owner's manual, so I don't think you did either.
There
Probably
you go. That's right.
no one else got one, so I'm not fully out of the loop, just trying to figure it all out. But stories are a great way for us to learn. They're a great way to share our journeys. They're the owner's manual to life. So there you go.
Mhm.
Well, anything more you want to tease out
Absolutely.
on the book or what you're doing here in the future before we go out?
No, just that I won't give away the ending, but it really leaves you guessing. One of the I'll just leave it with this. One of the movies I always love was Capex. I love that movie with the therapist, and there's a guy you don't know if he
If he's
really is
an
from another
alien or
planet.
not.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, or just somebody who had psychological issues. And at the end, they really like to leave you guessing because kind of like he's not there, and he takes somebody with him. And so I love the way that movie leaves you guessing. Well, that's sort of like the way I ended this story. It kind of like leaves you with a little like, aha, this is not just a fantasy, but it really is a world out there. So yes, I kind of like that. That was one of the favorite parts of my movie because I kind of like
that was
leave them guessing.
Apex.
Oh.
Two great actors in that movie. One of the brothers.
Oh my goodness! So yes, that's great.
Just really great acting and stuff in that movie. And yeah, you did. There was a lot of interesting stuff in there where you're like, is he an alien or is he just a crazy guy?
Correct. Correct. Yeah, they never really. You leave it, I guess, up to you to figure out.
Yeah, sometimes those are the best stories. I was talking about that over the weekend with someone where I was talking about sometimes the obscure stuff. I was talking about why the Eagles song "Hotel California" is so enduring, and we often just wonder about it and what it means, and that's the beauty of it.
Mhm.
It's the story's up for speculation and interpretation. It's like lyrics to a music song. Well, it is lyrics to a music song when you listen to the Hotel California. But that song was it was a song that wasn't supposed to do well because it was too long for radio at the time in the 70s. People like it's over 3 minutes. In fact, it's double that, I think 7. And and then who puts a fucking guitar solo at the end of a song? I mean, you realize that with Hotel California, the guitar solo is at the end of the song. Like normally it's in the middle. It's part of the bridge. And then the lyrics are completely obscure. But the beauty of it is people can listen to that story and those lyrics and they can make their own interpretations, and they can do that with books too and other stories. And that's kind of what we do. And that's kind of what makes them interesting is you can probably watch a movie or read a book or hear a story or watch a film, listen to some music lyrics, and your interpretation is completely different than mine. But that's what makes it so great and subjective and such a great and story.
You watch a movie and then sometimes I want to change the ending so you can adjust it.
Yeah. Sometimes good doesn't always triumph over evil. I mean, that's the classic storyline that we love, that good does triumph over evil, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes bad things happen to people, and that's it. That's the end. And I just had a friend who had a great life, and he'd written a lot of books, and everyone loved him. And he'd written a lot of smart stuff. And one day he was at 82. He was going to go for his marathon walk or his hike that he does. For me, it was a marathon walk. And he was doing it every day to, and keep his endurance up at 82. And there was a bus that stopped in front of him. He went to step out from the bus, and someone wasn't paying attention, ran a red light, and put him in the hospital. So much damage. He died a few months later from everything of that. Sometimes evil wins. Sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't end nicely, but that's kind of a lesson of life. And sometimes those are things we learn. Bad things happen, and all the more reasons we need to learn from them and be like, we should probably never try and see if we can keep that from happening again. So there you go. So as we go out, give people your final.
Oh, I just got to say that one of the things is like, we need to have hope and a little bit of distraction from that. So another reason why I wanted to write a story with kind of like happy things in it, kind of like, oh, we have enough bad things in real life. Sometimes we need a little bit of happy things to distract us. Yeah. So
good point. Good point. Hope is the enduring thing that keeps. I think it's one of our species' greatest assets. Yeah. Sometimes, no matter how dark it can be, we can always find hope, and thereby we seem to endure.
There we go.
So give people a final pitch out on where to order your book, where to find you on the websites to get to know you better.
The Cloud People, KenTuzeneu.com. That's the website, but you get all the major book outlets. You get on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the major outlets. It's available too. Yes. Mm-hmm. So
there you go.
The Cloud People. It's a wonderful little fantasy ride. A lot of good stuff. I think it's for all ages. A lot of my parishioners who are senior citizens read it and loved it. And they've handed it on to their grandkids, which just thrills me that it's done that. So yeah.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Right here.
There you go. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Great chatting with you.
Thank you. And thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Order up the book wherever fine books are sold. The Cloud People, out November 28th, 2022. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss won the TikTokity and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.